Pastor Terry here once again, hoping that you're enjoying God's richest blessings in your life. In James 5 and 7, it talks about the coming of the Lord and God waiting on precious fruit, souls being saved. Today I've come to encourage you, to tell you there is coming a nation-changing revival. It'll affect every part of society, every segment of society, the rich, the poor, the sanitation worker, all the way up to the highest politicians. There is coming a revival. America will be experiencing their third great awakening. Awakening is just a title of revival, how the country turns to God. This will be the third time America will experience the great awakening. After the first great awakening, we fought the Revolutionary War and became free as a country. The Spirit of God gripped hearts and transformed communities. In New England alone, there were between 30 and 40,000 converts, and that's when we didn't have that many people, and at least 150 new churches that were formed. Profanity, vulgar living, drunkenness, they all but disappeared for several years throughout our land. 30 years later, we fought the Revolutionary War and won. Our country was founded on Christian principles. Patrick Henry, the great orator from Virginia, said, "This great nation was founded not by religionists, but by Christians, not on religions, but on the gospel of Jesus Christ." Benjamin Franklin, a lot of people sometimes try to doubt his Christianity. But it was during 1787, the Congressional Congress was trying to put together the Constitution and our Bill of Rights. And it was complete dissension. No one could get along. They couldn't come up with anything they agreed upon. And then Benjamin Franklin, age 83, stood to his feet and said the following. He said, "Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. I therefore move that prayers imploring the assistance of heaven be held in this assembly every morning before we proceed to business." The Spirit of God came over the politicians, selfish interests melted away, and we ended up with our Constitution and Bill of Rights. George Washington, our first president, he took his oath of office on April 30th, 1789, with his hand on the Holy Bible. It wasn't just by happenstance, but he had been quoted as saying, "It is impossible to rightly govern the world without God and the Bible." His inaugural address was filled with reference after reference after reference to God and His leading and His guiding and His direction, and how we needed God. Immediately after his inauguration address, he and the entire Congress proceeded to St. Paul's Chapel, and they had a worship service. John Adams, our second president, said, "The general principles on which the fathers achieved independence were the general principles of Christianity. I then believed and now believe those general principles." Now listen to this one. Thomas Jefferson, our third president, never considered himself a deist. He said, in fact, "I am a real Christian. That is to say, a disciple of the doctrines of Jesus Christ." Listen closely to this. As founder of the University of Virginia, he invited all denominations to establish schools of instruction adjacent to, which means right beside, close to, or within even the precincts or the acreage of the University of Virginia. The students will be expected to attend religious worship in the morning and be at the university at their appointed time. In other words, the founder, Thomas Jefferson, University of Virginia, think how things have changed over the years. He expected the students to go every morning to religious worship and then to their classes. That's right, we're talking about the University of Virginia. Lastly, James Madison, our fourth president. He said in writing it was his desire that public officials would openly testify of their faith in Christ. There could not be a stronger testimony than for men who occupy the most honorable departments becoming fervent advocates in the cause for Christ. He believed Christians ought to have been on the front lines of society, not just letting anybody vote, not just ignoring the vote. He believed they ought to be holding the top leadership appointments in America and telling people in their faith to Jesus Christ. So with that encouragement, I ask you and implore you, go out and let your light shine for Jesus Christ. God bless you.